Hello everyone, welcome to Edupedia World Videos and welcome to the session of Service Design in ITIL. In this session, we'll discuss about the Service Design module. Service Design, uh, it's considered as that we are converting these strategies into the blueprints. It means the things that we have decided in service strategy phase, we are converting them into a designing phase here. This is a kind of definition of service design. Service design is an activity of planning and organizing people, infrastructure, communication, and material components of a service in order to improve its quality and the interaction between the service provider and the customer. It means service design, this is an activity of planning. This is an activity where we are planning, we are organizing people, we are maintaining the infrastructure and communication and material component of service in order to improve the quality. We are providing the service and we are trying to improve the quality service with the help of these activities, planning, organizing, and infrastructure. So designing is just like that we are converting the strategy thing into a blueprint. We're giving an idea that this is the thing which is required, a rough plan. Now, basics of service design, it determines how these services are deployed, what is the requirement of to deploy them, metrics, etc. It means we are defining the matrices in the service design phase. Metrics means that like we are defining the requirements here. Either you can say we are writing the or we are documenting the requirements. We are creating a kind of matrix here. Then this life cycle emphasizes on quality targets like SLA, SLM, and constitutes of processes that have been achieving the target quality like availability, capacity, and IT continuity and service management. We know that ITIL V3, it is based on the life cycle approach. So we have different modules. We have already discussed that one phase is the service strategy phase. We have already discussed that in the previous video. Now service design is also another life cycle phase in ITIL which emphasizes on quality targets. Here we can define the targets in this phase. We can document the targets in the form of SLAs. I'll explain the entire term here, that what is the SLA and what are the things we can document in SLA, what are the components and parts of SLA. We'll discuss everything in this particular video. So the basic of service design is determine how the services are deployed and create a matrix for them and creating a blueprint about the requirements. Now proceeding further, we'll discuss about the 4 P's of the service design. And 4 P's here are people, process, product, and partner. These are the 4 P's of service design. Now people means the human resources and organizational structure which is required to support the service. Very simple. This is the people or human resource requirement to support the service. Then about the process, it's a service management process required to support the service. We are supporting the service because we are delivering a service to the customer. So people means the requirement of human resources to support the service. Process means requirement of the process. Which process? Service management process. Service management process required to support the service. Then about the product means technology and other infrastructure required to support the service. We are offering a service like suppose just take an example of the phone call like the Vodafone. They are providing the telephonic support, telephonic service they are giving to the customers. Now they do require certain product, they do require certain technology and infrastructure to provide this support to the customer. So that product or that technology and other infrastructure required, that comes under the product category. Now partner, the third parties which help the provider to provide the service, to provide the support, to provide like which helps to for the supporting these services. Partner means the third party which provides services required to support the service. Very simple. So these are the 4P of service design: people, process, product, and partners. Proceeding further, I am showing you the diagram once again that we have discussed in the very first video also, where service strategy, service design, service transition, all these modules and some modules are listed here. So in this video, we are discussing about service design module, and these are the sub-modules: service catalog management, service level management, capacity, availability, IT service continuity, information security management, and supplier management. So we'll discuss all these sub-modules in detail in this video. We have discussed about the service design in general. We understood that service design means we are creating the designing part, where we have understood the requirement in the service strategy phase, and after knowing the requirement, we are changing this requirement in a blueprint form, or like we are creating a layout for the requirement. We are documenting it actually in the service design phase. So proceeding further, let's discuss about the service catalog management first. Service catalog management. Service catalog management, the main aim of this submodule is to produce and maintain the service catalog. We have studied about the service catalog in the previous video. That service catalog, this is a submodule and a submodule of the service portfolio management. Portfolio is one which is having like these services which are in pipeline. Then it do tell you about the service catalog also, and plus it have the details about the services which are retired from the which are already retired. So that was the combination. The three services were there in the service portfolio: the services which are in pipeline, the current services, and the retired services. Now we are studying about the service catalog management, which is entirely based on the current services that a service provider is offering. And what are the current services that the provider is offering to the customers? So the main aim of this submodule is service catalog management is to produce and maintain the service catalog. They need to check in the catalog that are we really providing the same services which are mentioned here. If any service which they are not offering, that would be removed from catalog and would be entered in the retired service module. So the main aim of the service catalog management is to produce and maintain the service catalog. Now, service catalog management process is included in service design because design activity typically generates a large volume of documentation and information which should be included in the service catalog. It means this process, service catalog management, this is a part of the service design process because of the documentation and the information which should be included in the service catalog. Because we are creating the blueprint, or you can say we are creating a document, so all the designing processes are included here in the service design phase. That's why the service catalog management is also a part of the service design phase. So catalog management is just like a menu. Whenever we visit any restaurant and we want to have some meal, so we want to see a menu which would show you the list of all the available items, and you can choose your item that you want to consume and you can order that. So in the same way, they are maintaining a catalog where all the available services are that is available. And there are there are two kind of catalogs mainly. One is the business catalog and the technical catalog as well. The business catalog, that is to show the customers, or to that would provide you the list of all the available services that you are offering to the customers, to the providers, to the user. And the technical catalog, it contains all the technical information, but that is not accessible for the business or to the users also. That is mainly sometimes it's for the internal use, the technical catalog. So we can also categorize the service catalog management as the which contain two type of catalog: the business catalog and the service catalog. The business catalog and the technical catalog. In and out of the service catalog management is that the main aim is produce and maintain the catalog. Catalog management that is done by the service catalog management module or the team. So that's about the service catalog. Next sub-module of service design phase is SLM, service level management. Now this is a very important part of the service design phase, and we'll study a lot many parameters, things, matrices in this SLM area, service level management submodule. SLM is a process by which the quality of the IT service offered is defined, negotiated, and supervised. It means in this module SLM, first of all, we define the service. We define the offerings, we document everything here, that we create a matrix and we define it. Then we negotiate it with the customer. If the customer demands are not feasible, they are not realistic, on those cases we can negotiate the service and their levels with the customer. We can provide certain alternatives, we can like make them obey, or we can show them the picture that this is the real service that you can get, or this is the best service, and we can show certain constraints also, we can provide certain alternatives as well. So means we are negotiating with the customer. Then last one is the supervise. Now we have negotiated it, we both have agreed on a particular point, we have documented it in the service level agreement, and now the SLM team that will supervise it, that whether we are delivering the same services to the customer which we have agreed or not. So it means we are supervising it. Now the second point is ensures that these services are delivered at the agreed level between service provider and the customer. It means ensuring means same thing. It means the supervising, and after that taking certain steps to to obtain those values, to obtain those levels which we have agreed on. It means ensuring that the services are delivered at the agreed level with the customers. So this is the service level management team's work, and this is the area of the work. First of all, planning, then implementing and monitoring. After that, reviewing also is a part, means if you review that, then only you will come to know that whether we are doing it right or not, or is there any scope of improvement. All right, so in this slide, we'll discuss about the goal and scope of SLM, the service level management process. This is a very nice diagram that gives you certain insight about the service level management. How this SLM process, this is connected with the supplier, the continuous, the CSI phase, that is continuous service improvement, how it's connected with the portfolio, with the strategies, operations, everything. So you can have a look, you can look at this diagram for a few seconds and try to understand this, that how this process is connected to the other processes. Now talking about the goal and scope, the main goal of this process, service level management, is to maintain and enhance the quality of the IT service in the organization by continuously reporting. It means SLM is a process, SLM is a submodule, service level management, where two things happen. One is the defining the metrics, in which we are documenting, we are writing it, that what are the requirements, we create metrics depending on those requirements. After creating that, we have to ensure that these things are getting implemented on the daily basis. We emphasize on the implementation part. It means the implementation part that happens with the help of reporting. Reporting means we are measuring it, that whether it's happening or not. So we create the reports maybe on the daily basis or the monthly basis. So with the help of the reporting, we implement those matrices that we have created in the SLM. So that's why we say that SLM is a part of the service design also, and it's a part of continuous service improvement as well. Because in the service design phase, we maintain the metrics, we create the metrics, we document, we list everything that required from the customer side, what are the services and what are the levels, We are the service provider that is going to support that. So we, based on the requirement and the offerings, we create a matrix out of it. So creating a matrix, the service level management comes under the service design process. And when it comes of the implementing those or measuring that whether we are providing the same level of the service or not, that comes under the CSI in the improvement phase, because after reporting sometime it's found that service levels are not met. So in those cases, under the service continual improvement phase, certain steps are taken to improve the service. So that's why we say that SLM is a part of service design also, and it's a part of continual service improvement as well. Now the other goal of the SLM is build the solid long-term relationship with the contractor, business, and vendors. Negotiations means creating a long-term relationship by agreeing to it, by documenting everything where both the parties are agreeing. There is a relationship built between the customer and the service provider. So these are the main goal and scope of the service level management. Now let's proceed further. These are the key points of the service level management. First is the service level targets. This is the commitment document in SLA. Targets must be smart, specific. Okay. So, commitment documented in the SLA. Service level targets are service level management is a process where we are managing these services. Now, SLA is a document, service level agreement. It's an agreement where all the terms are mentioned that we are going to provide this particular service, and which is okay with the customer also. They have agreed on that. Now, service level target. This is a target defined by the customer, that this is the target. We need at least this level of service. So, service level target is commitment document in SLA. In the service level agreement, this is a commitment document. Now, target must be smart. It means that it has to be the realistic targets. Smart means it has to be specific, it can be measurable, because how do this is very difficult to measure a service. If you are giving some product or if you're producing some product, then definitely you can measure the quantity as well. Now if you want to measure the quality, then based on certain parameters, it has to be measurable. Means we have to make sure that in this particular way we can measure the quality. There has to be certain points which are defined by the customer, which are agreed by the service provider as well, that if these points are okay, it means that with these points we can measure the service also, and uh, we can make a go ahead as well with the service that is okay to work with. Now the targets that has to be achievable as well. It means those targets has to be realistic one, not the unrealistic. In the live environment, it may happen that in the live environment you cannot give the 100% continuity for a server. Like suppose some server is running in an environment, it's required that like a reboot is required sometimes, or maybe you have to shut down the server for some time. But if a customer is want the service in 24 cross 7 environment and not ready to give a 5 minutes reboot time, or maybe won't allow you to close the service for some time, then this thing becomes a little bit unrealistic. So it's important that the targets which are defined that can be achievable, then relevant and timely. Relevant means it has to be relevant with the service. It would not be like out of the way, it's not connected to the service. It should not be like that. So the targets that has to be relevant with the service and timely as well, that you can, as per the time, you can provide that. Now the service level targets, availability, responsiveness. How soon user would be contacted. Service level target that would define the availability and responsiveness as well. Responsiveness means how soon you get the response, and availability means that for how much time the service will be available. Then SLAs made of multiple service level targets. SLA can be customer based and service based. Okay. Now SLAs mean service level agreement. The things, the services that we have documented, that are made of multiple service level targets. Customer can provide multiple targets like the availability or the capacity, that much service we require. So the SLA, it is made of multiple service level targets, and it can be customer based and service based also. Customer based means like suppose we have different customers, like uh, suppose I am the service provider and I have two customers, one is the HP or the other one is Lenovo. So based on the customers, like as HP needs some other services from the supplier, so the everything is listed that what are the services required and what are the targets required. So I'm providing these services and these are the targets to this particular customer, to the HP. And to Lenovo, there might be some other targets defined by the customer, some other services are required. So SLA, the document, the service level agreement would be something else for both the parties, for both the customers. Now, service based means that I am providing this particular service irrespective of the customer. Now I am providing that much continuity in like I am providing a server which can run 23 hours and can support 100 users. So I am giving the same service to HP also, and I am giving the same service to the Lenovo or to some other customer as well. So that has become service based SLA now. So I guess this point is clear with the example. Next point is SLR, service level requirement. It is based on the business objective, customer requirements for certain area, capabilities, cost, risk, and warranty. SLR means service level requirement. Again, this requirement is based on the customer, that some other customers' requirement would be, we have two different customers, then one can give you some other requirements and the other customer can give you some other requirements. So according on the based on their requirements, the offerings can be tailored and they can be provided to them. So SLR means service level requirement and is based on the business objectives. Now SIP, that is service improvement plan. This is the formal actions and plan to improvise the service delivered and the processes. Now, because we are measuring the service levels when we are providing the services to the customer, then we keep on monitoring the service levels and we are preparing the reports also to measure them. And after that, we implement the SIP, that is service improvement plan, to improve the services if it is required. If we are not meeting the targets, the service level targets, then we require this SIP, service improvement plan. It may include the user training, the documentation, and some other actions as well. All right. So this is another slide here, how SLM fits together. You can see here, this is the designing phase. Now we have a customer here which define the requirements. This is the service level requirements which is defined by the customer. Now there is a service provider which have certain strategies in place and they have certain capabilities. They can provide you, they offer you certain services based on the capabilities. Now under the designing phase, they both interact and like they both negotiate and come up with a service level agreement. Under the designing phase, a service level agreement is made. We know what are the requirements, we know the capability, both parties sit together, they negotiate, and they come up with a new document of SLA, service level agreement, which is a part of service design. Now everything is defined, the service level targets are defined now. Now service level targets, they are being reviewed or monitored on the monthly basis, or maybe it also depended how those are monitored on the daily basis, monthly, or maybe on the yearly basis. And according to the reviews, the SIP is implemented, service improvement plan. If required, it's been implemented. Now we know the service level targets are. On the other hand, we have the service level agreements. We have the service level agreements where the service level targets are defined. Now, one agreement is the SLA agreement, service level agreement, which happened between the customer and the service provider. Now, there is an agreement also, OLA, operational level agreement, which is internal in the organization. Now, just take an example that there is a service provider
which wants to provide the service. Now, for providing these services, there are certain internal teams, and the service provider needs support from the internal teams itself, some other teams. So the teams are having the OLA defined in between them. I'll take one example. Like, there is a service provider who is providing application support to the user. There is an application that can support 100 of the user, which is up and running, that has to be up and running for like at least 23 hours in a day. Now, for providing these kind of service, the service provider must need the support from the server team as well, and might need the support from the application team as well, and might need the support from the storage team, because a lot of things are involved here. The application is hosted on a particular server, and we do come up with the storage issues also. So all the three teams are involved here. Now suppose the server is not up, or like that is not working from last 1 hour, or maybe any failure happened. So now the internal teams, the server team or the application server team, and the storage team, they come up and they provide the findings that the things are okay from our end, and they can contribute to resolve the service. Like, they'll try to find out, first of all, that is it a server issue or application issue or a storage issue, if they are together, and they'll try to provide the resolution. So there is a contract and agreement between the internal teams as well, that we are working in our own space, but if there is a requirement, then we will provide the solution in 2 hours or maybe 1 hour. They have certain internal agreements between them to give a best service to the user. So this is a kind of OLA example. OLA means operational level agreement, which is an agreement between the internal teams of a service provider. Now UC is the underpinning contract, and underpinning contract, this is a contract between with the third party. There is a service provider, but they might need the help from any third party. Means, for example, for the hardware support or maybe for some other things, they need the support from the third party as well. So they will do a contract, but like they'll again document it, that what are the requirements and how soon they require these services. So the contract between a service provider and a third party is known as underpinning contract. Now, if we see here, the service provider and the third party, service provider and third party, they are having this as a SLA, but as a whole, this is the underpinning contract. What I mean to say is, if we see from the service provider point of view, they are provider for some other customer. But when they are doing a contract with a third party, then they become like they are the customer and the third party is the service provider. So it's a SLA for the third party and the service provider. But when they are the service provider at their point, then it becomes an underpinning contract. I mean, because three things are involved here: a customer, a service provider, and a third party. So uh, the service provider and the third party, they are having a underpinning contract. But if we consider the service provider as the customer, then it becomes an asset. I guess this point is clear. All right. So that's about the important terms. Now again, the SL, the service level target. This is uh, like connected with, I have shown this as a reporting is also a part between them, because service level targets, these are measured with the reporting thing, and again these reports are shared with the customers to show them, to convince them that the service level targets are being achieved. So this is how the service level management fits in this particular model. It has certain relationships with the service level requirement, capabilities, and agreements. So that's it. Proceeding further, SLM, SLM objective and scope. SLM objectives are, first of all, define the requirements, document them, agree with the customer where it comes, like agree means we are documenting it, we are creating a service level agreement here. Then reviewing it with the help of the reports and everything, and reviewing, reporting, and monitoring. That is like reviewing it, then documenting it, and keep on monitoring it so that we keep on delivering the results. So these come under the SLM objective: develop and improve. Then talking about the scope, that comes under the scope: relationships, SLAs, OLAs, supplier contract, reports, targets, requirement, and service improvement plans. We have discussed all these things in detail in the previous slide. So these are the SLM objectives and the SLM scope. These are the SLA structure. This is important. We have certain different structures of the SLA: service based SLA, customer based, and multi-level SLA. So service based SLA: agreement of all the customers using these services being delivered by the service provider. And the example of this is, example, a car service station offers a routine service to all the customers and offers certain maintenance as a part of the offer with the universal charging. It means the service is same for all the customers. Now, customer based SLA means agreement with the individual customer groups covering all the services they use. It may happen that a customer require lots of services. So instead of doing the contract with a different supplier or a different like provider, they want all the services from a single provider only, so that whenever I face the issue, I'll contact you only. So that would become a customer based, means it's defined that this particular customer want these 10 set of services from us. So that becomes a service in the customer based SLA. Then the multi-level SLA. In this SLA, what happens? It addressing a different set of customers for the same service. It means that is a kind of group based service. Corporate level, customer level, and service level here. Corporate level, it covers SLM issues to every customer in the organization. Then customer level is SLM issue of a particular customer, and service level means relevant to specific users only. So, based on the like, is an organization, suppose, where we are providing the offerings. Now, there would be a requirement like if the person belong to the finance group or the financial sector, then the service has to be up in an hour. If he belongs to the sales department or maybe for the HR department, then the services would be up in the 4 hours. Or maybe if it's a normal user, like doesn't belong to the sales or maybe from the a finance group, then the services would be up in 8 hours. So these are the different multi-level SLA to the same customer. There are certain group of people which require these services very up, because it all depends on the money, actually on the finance. If the services are down for a finance person, then it may be a big loss for the organization. If the service is like low for even for 8 hours for a normal user who is not a part of the finance group, so that would not hamper the services more. Means after 8 hours also he can work, and it would not be a great loss to the company. So these things are defined in a way, and these are agreed also, because everything is money. If the service provider is make the service up and running in 1 hour for all the users, so he may charge high for that for a customer. So depending on the requirement, customer will fit the different targets in between. That for the finance people only, let's make the service up in 1 hour, and for the other user, let's make it for 8 hours also. And according to that, he can pay to the service provider. So these are the different requirements, and these are the different structures of the service level structure. Now proceeding further, so that was about the service level management, service level agreement. We have discussed a lot of terms here, and we have tried to cover all the things. And we do have some more important terms about the service level management here, like the KPIs. KPIs are the key performance indicator. I want to discuss it because I think this is the only important point left here. So KPI is the key performance indicator. Whenever we are delivering a service, it's very difficult to measure that, to monitor that, whether the services are met or not. It's very difficult to say that. So there are certain indicators which are defined by the customer, And if those indicators or if the requirements are fulfilled, it means the services are good and they are happy and satisfied with the services. So key performance indicators are customer satisfaction, scoring and rating, average time to implement the SLA requirement, and number of SLAs in the renegotiation. So KPIs, key performance indicators, are just the indications or the points which are a part of service level agreement, KPIs. If these things are met, it means that the services are met. We have discussed about SLAs, OLAs, and underpinning contract also. So that's it for this session. Service design, we have discussed today about the service level management and the catalog management. So that's it. In the next session, we'll discuss about the another submodule. So that's it. Thanks everyone. Thank you for watching Edupedia World videos.
Drop a like and do share. Leave your comments and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.